Here's a story which has to be way, way, way back, okay? And I've done too many trips on business all over, but the thing is, this one stands out in my memory, and I thought I would share this with you because I feel very emotional about it, thinking about this particular trip. This was when, we were meeting for a climate change conference. We used to have different places. And when they said it's going to be in Islamabad, I jumped at it. I have a seminaritis. I avoid conferences, seminars. But this one, I said, I must go because, Islamabad was too much of a temptation. So, five of us, Indian delegation, we got there. We landed at the airport and we were received so warmly by the people. And then there was a young person who was made to accompany us to the hotel. So we were all, traveling with a lot of enthusiasm, etc. We had a huge wish list about what we wanted to do in Pakistan. Mine was I wanted to see Taxila because I'd heard so much about Taxila from my history teacher. I said I must see Taxila. The other one was something which my aunt used to keep talking about, the Murray. And she used to tell us all kinds of stories about Murray and how beautiful it is and all that kind of stuff. I said, I must make it to Taxila. I must make it to Murray. Knowing that Islamabad is somewhere close to it. So I said, I must do these two. So I must be the most voluble in the five-man delegation. So it went. So I went along to the hotel. We found Sunil Gavaskar at the, the reception, and then, in the lobby. What was he doing there? It was way back in 1992. Sunil Gavaskar was the only guy who said Pakistan is going to win the World Cup when they were doing very badly in the initial rounds. He was the guy who became a hero in Pakistan because he said, Pakistan is going to win the World Cup. Everybody said, okay, Sunil Gavaskar will have to listen to you because you're a big man. But they went and won it. So because of that, in Pakistan, he was simply a hero. And there he was. I went along by myself from the hotel, and then carpets and things like that in the front. But one step behind, the next row, was all Afghanistan types, and all of them having all the Soviet arm, like you think of the various models of Kalashnikov or whatever, all of them were there, and things like that. Gave you goosebumps. I mean, just seeing those guns. So all that kind of stuff. So the mornings spent with conference, evenings with all these kinds of miscellaneous kinds of tours. So each night we would come back happily tired and we would go to sleep. So went about 5 days. But sure enough, there was a break in these 5 days. That morning I said, what are we going to do? Because there's nothing to do today as per the program. So suddenly I got a call from the reception to say, there's some visitors for you. So I went downstairs, and there was a young couple. They were the son and daughter-in-law of the person who was my co-chair in my session. And he was the member of the Railway Board of Pakistan. So he had sent his daughter and son-in-law. They said, we have come here because we want to take you to Murray. We've made all arrangements. Come on over. So I went along in there. I was thrilled to bits because, I was going to go to Murray. So I said, okay, and then went up, got prepared, and then went along downstairs. As we were coming out of the hotel, we see this young guide of ours, who had come with us in the airport. He comes along and says, I've come ready for Taxila. I've got the transport and, the everything. I said, now you got to flip a coin about, what to do. I said, do we go to Taxila or go to, there are two different places. So I said, Murray it is because, I have to go there because I've heard so much about it. So it was, and so I went along to Murray. Fantastic hill station. So old. And they've retained most of those casa and, lampposts which were built by the British or whatever. Everything beautiful. Most beautiful girls in the world, I can assure you, because it's got all the boarding schools of all the top guns of Pakistan. They're sent out there, mostly girls. Then, of course, we had lots of things to see and things like that. From the edge of it, they show you that's the Kashmir Valley. And in the olden days, apparently, to go to Kashmir, the fastest way to go was to go to Rawalpindi, go to Murray, and go to Kashmir, apparently. So these are all the stories. So we finished all that. Come back to, to Islamabad. So the conference was over. Then we had to plan our return trip. But just at that moment, one of the guys says, "Hey, I forgot to tell you, each day we were supposed to go along to the police station to get our passport signed." And it was 5 days over already, and the 6th day, and we said we had it. I think we're going to spend the rest of our life here somewhere, some kind of a place. So when the hosts came along to say byes to us, we shyly went along to them and said, "Look, buddies, we have a problem." So they said, "Look, don't worry." So there was a lot of telephone calls. And then there was a young officer who was sent with us, and then we went along to the police station. And there we went there. And there was a very serious-looking lady who was in charge of the police station. And there she was. We said, "Had it." She said, "Passport." So we gave the passports. So she took out the passports, one by one, opened the blank pages in front of her. She took out her rubber stamp, which has that wheelie thing that, flips the dates. So she went along, click, 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 and then went back 5 days. 4th day, 3rd day, 2nd day, 1st day, pat. So we had 5 stamps in each one of our passports. And then when she returned the passport with a smile on the face, we said, "Wow." All our, loads taken off our shoulders. So we come back. And then, of course, we had to take our return flights. 4 of them were coming back to Mumbai. I was going to do Delhi. So my flight was through Lahore. And I got in at 10 o'clock in the morning at Lahore. And my connection was going to be 5:30 in the evening. I said, what am I going to do in that particular period? It's a very dull, droll, transit area. I said, what am I going to do? So I looked around here and there. And there was one desk. And there was one immigration officer. I said, let me go along and chat him up. So I went along all the way to him. I said, हमने सुना है कि लाहौर की असलियत लाहौरी है और आप एक ही अकेले लाहौरी हो जिनसे मैं बात कर रहा हूँ इस वक्त. दूसरा और कोई मौका ही नहीं है हमें लाहौर की पहचान लेने के लिए. The man says, आप कहाँ से हैं? हम तो हिंदुस्तान में. So he says, 1 minute ठहरिए. And then he calls up, and there's this guy who comes along. There's a miserable-looking guy, and then, all very, very, should we say, scared, because the big boss has called him. So he says, "साहब को लाहौर दिखा के वापस ले आना है, ठीक है? और सुनो, साहब को इधर ले जाओगे, ये दिखाओगे, और मीना बाजार ले जाओगे, वो जो है ना, वो दुकान में ले जाना, और खाने के लिए ना, वो दुकान में ले जाकर उनको खाना खिलाना, ठीक है? और वापस इधर पहुंचना 4 बजे को, ठीक है?" ठीक है साहब. So I set out. I go around and do whole of Lahore. What a beautiful city, if you've been there. Went around all over Shah Jahan city. So I went around, came back. If it wasn't for that guy, that genial officer, I would never have done Lahore in my life, I think. Finished everything, boarded the flight, sat in the aircraft. The mind started to wander. I said, did Iqbal have any thoughts when he said, "Sare jahan se acha"? And Tagore, when he wrote, "Punjab, Sindh, Gujarat, Maratha" in our national anthem, did these 2 guys know that we were going to do something like this? Divide our countries? Then I came down thinking about the lines. Then came a beautiful thought, something which I had heard. Lines mean many things to many people. Lines on the forehead means something to connect it with Kismat. Lines on the ground is to demarcate boundaries. After this trip of mine, I said, lines on a sheet of paper can only denote one thing. It signifies someone who opened their heart to you. This was my experience. I wanted to share it with you because I really feel very strongly about this great country, which is our neighbor, which is denied to us because of various reasons that we are going through. Thanks indeed.